Just hitting up the gram before we start.
Hitting up the
Need to get some tweets out. Hitting the gram and tweeting.
Nice.
Booking. I just made a word. I'm booking.
Might as well. That's
All right.
what the kids are doing nowadays anyway.
All right, Zach. So I'm going to start us out with a random, completely crazy question.
Okay.
We've talked about this before. And Scott, I guess this goes to you because you are somewhat of a Twitter, savant. You can fly like a bird. You got a lot of tweets.
He can fly like the Twitter bird.
I don't get Twitter. Can you explain it to me, one of the two of you, please?
Twitter to me it's kind of like it's a great resource for reporters, I think, because it's simple, because you're restricted by character limits.
Yeah.
And it's not that you can always trust everything you see on it, because it is still social media, and there are still opinions, and there's a lot of crap that gets disseminated on there. But a lot of reporters post on that, and that's where you can find out quickly digestible info, basically.
So how is that different than the many social media tools that were already out there? So you can do all of those things on Facebook. It seems like a less feature-rich version of Facebook that everybody voluntarily uses.
I can tell you
it doesn't make any sense.
Facebook is one of those things, and maybe Twitter's gotten this way too, but the kids, what happens is kids will go to one spot, and once they figure out the adults there, they'll leave and go to another spot. And then the adults
so it's
figure it
age
out,
discrimination.
And then they leave and go to another spot. It is. That's what they do.
Zach's laughing, but he is on the cusp of being the discriminated against.
That's the way it goes.
Isn't that how you see it?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, that's definitely part of it. I think that Twitter,
so Daddy Z isn't on Twitter or the gram. Huh?
I mean, he is, but not actively, right?
He is.
I think he has accounts.
Oh, Warren tweets?
No, he has accounts, but he doesn't. He's not active. He doesn't.
He just prowls.
I think that he downloaded them when they were
popular.
Yeah, but then never. He's just like you. He's like, oh.
But so you're saying I'm old?
But yeah, I'm saying both of you. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Is Warren Z going to regulate? That's what I think of every time I hear Warren
Scott,
Z.
You just dad joked the crap out of that. I
know I'm showing my age.
Yeah, you are. You're dating yourself big time.
All right, I'll leave it at that. It's an old person thing.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it's hard to argue the presence of reporters.
Yeah. Oh no.
I also think you and I have talked about this, but I think that it's an avenue where you feel like you're getting content directly from whoever's account it belongs to. Celebrities, like LeBron James has a Facebook. I don't think LeBron James is posting Facebook posts.
So what I hear you saying though, I get that. I think I agree with you, but it's really different, but not different. I mean, you could do the same thing on Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
You could. So it's a kid thing. It's just different to be different. I mean, I've got 3 teenage sons. I know how it goes. They don't want to be associated with me. I mean, I'm pretty cool, and they don't want to be associated with me. So
I think Facebook is used for life updates and more big scope things. Twitter is just for small updates and quotes from if you want to say something.
And I know Facebook couldn't be used for the same thing. It definitely couldn't be.
No, it could be. But that's not the sole purpose of it. Okay. That's not what people use it for mostly.
So life updates.
Yeah,
it's true.
That you moved across the state and you took a new job and 7 paragraphs.
So Scott, when did you transition? I mean, you really do have. I'm joking around, flying like a bird and everything, but you really do have a pretty good Twitter following, and
it's a check mark.
You are. He's got a check mark.
He can't let it go. He goes, "How'd you get a check mark?" I said, "Because."
So just for everybody out there,
everyone got them.
Scott is verified on Twitter, which apparently means something very important. It's something that Zach strives for, doesn't have.
Hey, you better recognize.
This is why I have a problem with it, because he claims authority with his check mark.
It's like his medallion. If he was a taxi guy, he'd have a medallion. It's Scott's medallion.
It's kind of like if I had any championship rings, I'd be going.
When you go home at night, Scott, do you tell your girls hey, I'm verified?
Right. That would mean a lot to them. I had my daughter one time that you talk about kids and not want to be around their parents.
Oh, yeah.
My daughter City, she's a senior now.
Mm-hmm.
She must have been, I don't know, 7, 8 years old when we were living in Kalamazoo, living in Mattawan. And I had a friend over from work. We were watching some football games on a Saturday, and I had to go to work in the afternoon. And I was kind of picking at her a little bit. She goes, she just looked right at me. She goes, "Don't you have to go to work soon?" So that's the kind of relationship I have with my kids.
So when did you when did you say, okay, I'm going to be on Twitter and I'm going to make this work? Because you're good at it. I'm not going to lie. Frustratingly good at it.
I don't know about that, but
yeah.
No, I
you're
joined
pretty
in
good at
January of 2012. So
man,
that's when I joined.
That's about when Zach was born, like ish. Zach, were you in high school in 2012?
Yeah, I was a junior in high school.
Lord.
Or senior.
That was your senior?
Yeah,
oh, yeah, because the fall. Yeah. You were a junior and a senior in 2012. Zachy graduating. Nice.
Yeah.
So Twitter came out the year Scott joined Twitter the year
I
Zach
think Twitter
graduated.
came out before that, but
It
I
was
think
out
it really
before
started to become popular around then.
Yeah. I still don't get it.
I do.
I don't.
Well, it's funny. Cal Van Single, a friend of the show here,
Mm-hmm.
he goes, "Hey, can you text me updates from the game? This is the Monty game Saturday." I go, "Why can't you just follow me on Twitter? It's easier because I'm already there and I'm doing 1,000,001 things during a game. Just get on and follow me."
See, so that makes total sense to me. Like I completely get why you would want to use a social media product to communicate with a mass of people. What I don't get, you could do the same thing on Facebook. That's the part that I don't get. And I think what I get is that it's just the cool thing to do, and it's the new fad, and so that's why it's popular. And I like busting people's chops about it, like, because when you ask that question, everybody's like, "Well, it's different," and then you're like, "No, it's not." But so, anyways,
Yeah.
Zach, what do we got? What's really important? Let's talk sports instead of Twitter.
Yeah, I mean,
Scott's already verified. We don't need any more.
That's right. That's right. Well, I mean, we had a pretty crazy weekend with some regional football. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
None of the Muskegon teams made it out. I mean, I don't know what we're gonna do for the next couple weeks. It seems like it's kind of been the usual. Scott mentioned earlier. I don't know what year did you say it was?
Yeah, it's been since 2011 was the last time that the Muskegon area didn't even make it to the semifinals.
Which is just crazy.
There's usually somebody there in the semifinals, and then obviously in Ford Field, and a lot of times winning it. Somebody from the area. Not this year.
They're all done. So I mean, I guess we could start by recapping some of the games on Friday. In Muskegon Catholic Central.
Weather was great.
Hosted Lawton. The weather wasn't great. Not as bad as it was in Grand Rapids, though. I will say that. That's for sure. Tell me a little bit about that game.
Man, I covered Lawton back in the day in Kalamazoo, and they were kind of a fringe team then.
How long ago was that, Scott?
What's that?
How long ago was that, Scott?
Let me do the math. No, that was probably... That was
what
10,
year?
15 years ago.
Before I was born.
That was pre-Twitter for me, probably. Maybe right around Twitter when I...
We're gonna catalog everything pre-Twitter post.
When my chronicle and everything pre-Twitter.
PT 19.
Before his check mark.
Instead of BC, it's BT. Yeah, BT before Twitter. No, they were kind of that program that was trying to climb when I was there in Kalamazoo, trying to and they kind of did, but they would, and then they'd start winning a lot of games, but then it'd be... I don't know if it's fool's gold or what you call it, where it's or like a paper tiger type thing where they look good on paper, but they're not really that good.
Right.
Maybe
good, undefeated,
speaking,
but coming in, they haven't really played.
But I'm here to tell you that team was legit. They were. I mean, they made Muskegon Catholic.
Who'd you pick?
So how'd your game go? No, I picked Catholic by.
Who'd you pick?
I picked Catholic by 5 points.
Which is interesting. So I said Catholic in our. Or on our podcast.
Oh, you snaked him.
But get this.
So
you snaked him.
And now you see how we won.
Gamesmanship.
I was at the volleyball regional last week at Western Michigan Christian after our podcast, and I was talking to M Live's new hire, the guy that took Scott's place, Josh Van Dyke, and he was just sharing some opinions that he had heard, and he talked a lot about this running back from Lawton that had like one heck of a night. I don't know if you ended up
Jake
looking
Roof,
at the stats.
yeah.
Jake Roof, and also their quarterback. He mentioned both of those, and he just said that some of his colleagues thought that Lawton was going to take it pretty handedly. I kind of looked into it a little bit and ended up changing my pick, but yeah, just a crazy game. Tell me a little bit about this Jake kid. I mean, how many yards?
Who's
did he
ahead
have
now? I got to know who's ahead.
He won.
Yeah, I won.
He won because we're done with the picks now. He won.
What was the final? Did you win by one?
What?
Did you win by 1?
No, you won by 3 or 4
Yeah,
maybe.
I think like 2 or 3. It was
2 or
close.
3, 3 or
It was
4,
really
something like
close.
that.
Do we have a trophy for Zach for winning?
Well, he is younger, and everyone
got
his
it.
age gets a trophy nowadays.
Yeah,
so.
he got a new laptop. He got a new laptop. That's
He
his
grew up in
trophy.
the everybody
That's
gets a
true.
trophy era, so let's
That
get him
is
one.
true. That is true.
No,
He
seriously.
just Zach just gave you a terribly mean look. Healthy conflict, Zach.
That's true. Yeah, we're working on it.
No,
you
but
know?
they were bigger, more physical, faster. I mean, you name it. They were clearly
Wow.
the better team. Lawton was. This is clearly no fluke.
So you think Lawton's gonna take it down?
I don't know about that. You should see the Division 7 bracket.
Yeah, it's
Oh my
pretty
gosh.
tough, pretty hefty.
I'm-
yeah, you.
I put it on Twitter.
I looked at it. Dang it! I looked at it.
It's St. Francis against Puamo on the top half.
Yeah. I
Lawton
remember.
versus Lumen Christie on the bottom half. I'd pay just to see those 3 games.
So
Right.
how many of those are parochial schools? 2-ish.
Two and two.
So half.
Right down the middle.
All right, let's keep going.
No, but they're seriously good. That Jake Roof, he reminded me a lot of like a Corey Vanderput. They even wear the same jersey number,
Mm-hmm.
but he was fast. I mean, once he got a crease, he was gone. No one was catching him,
That's amazing.
and he was
Did he not like over 2,000 yards this season? That's what
he's
Josh
got
was saying.
over 2,200 now with 47, 48 touchdowns.
Yeah, I
now.
saw an article about that. Like, and I was pre-game, and I was like, why have I not heard about this kid till now? Like, it was really weird. So, yeah,
Stud though, eh?
legit.
No, they're they've got their center, Carter Main, I believe his name is. I interviewed him after the game. He's a kid that was one of their coaches that I knew back from my days in Kalamazoo area. He's like, this kid was built during COVID, basically. He was like 6'1", 230 or whatever he was. And then after like 500 hours in the weight room, the kid's like 6'2", 270 now, just
Wow.
a beast. I mean,
Wow.
they just have kids running on and off the field, and I'm like, wow. And then they platoon. They don't have hardly any kids going both ways, and that's for Division 7.
What for
Wow.
in Division
Yeah.
7?
Yeah,
Good program. I mean, they
Yeah.
got a lot.
They
of
got it
kids out,
rolling.
right?
Nice.
What was the final score?
it was 41-22, but the game wasn't honestly that close. Now, first half, it was 20-6 at that point. Catholic scored on a quarterback scramble to could have pulled within a touchdown, but that got called back on a block in the back. So it remained 20-6 at the half, and then Blount just kind of put it away in the second half. But yeah, it was they were really good.
Crazy. Who would have guessed?
Yeah.
Thanks to Josh for his advice on that
He
pick.
snaked
for
Scott.
sure.
Yeah,
awesome.
insider trading.
That's right. I was over at Grand Rapids Catholic Central in not so nice weather, and not that it was nice in Mesquite, it really wasn't, but it was a mini blizzard over there in Grand Rapids. We saw some of the photos from both places on social media on Friday, and it was crazy to see the difference. And driving home, it was nuts. You just hit. It seemed like you hit a wall where the snow stopped. So, yeah, it was kind of nuts. They had a plow truck, kind of clearing off the field. I think it went through 2 or 3 times. So there's enough snow. There's a couple inches. There's enough snow to,
Be a factor.
Yeah, definitely be a factor. And I think that's ultimately what kind of led to the slow start for Grand Rapids Catholic Central. I viewed them as a team that was a lot better on paper, and I thought that they looked a lot better for the most part. I think that passing was a huge part, is a huge part of their game, and they really couldn't do that, or they struggled to do that, specifically in the first half when it was just coming down. The snow was coming down.
I was surprised watching the score on ScoreStream at home that, like it was close.
Yeah.
But again, that makes total sense. The weather can play into
right.
that.
But 7-0 at the half.
Good
Yeah.
for Oak Ridge. Sounds like
That's
they had a couple
crazy.
chances too,
The-
right? Where they
and
moved the ball a little bit.
They honestly moved the ball well in the first half, and the whole game. It wasn't like they weren't able to to get anything going. And it was the after game, the post game interviews with Oak Ridge, the Oak Ridge coach Kerry Harger and Vanderput were super cool because they felt like they did everything they could. That's always nice.
They
when you
played
see
their
a team-
best game but lost.
And you just when you can tell kids and coaches feel that way, it's kind of cool to do those interviews because it's sad. They're obviously really upset, but they know that they gave everything they had and they gave themselves a chance. And I think that's all you could really you could ask for. So
Makes sense.
yeah, good game. Grand Rapids Catholic has this Nolan Ziegler senior who's committed to Notre Dame. What a stud! I mean, I can't say that I've seen a ton of
He's quarterback, right?
He was a wide receiver, but they moved him to running back position in the second half. Probably because
at 6'4", he was running.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts. Apparently he doesn't. I mean, I haven't seen any of their games this year aside from this one, but he's not a running back. They just were having a hard time passing the ball because of the weather. So they, put him in the backfield. You got to get
your best player's hands, right?
And that's what happened. And he scored a rushing touchdown as well. So just kind of crazy, man.
What's he planning on playing at Notre Dame?
I think defensive back somewhere.
Yeah, he's like a safety, natural safety, but I think with his frame, he probably projects as like maybe an outside linebacker because once they put some weight on him,
I was going to say, at 6'4", that's a big safety.
That's a big
right?
safety, and that's why I think that maybe he could project as like an outside linebacker or something.
And
like
maybe put some weight on and be an end.
Yeah,
too.
and that's just it.
Because he's like 200 pounds right
yeah,
now. Yeah,
205, which honestly isn't real big for that height. But that's the name of the game with like the athletes that come out of high school going to college.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
They always pack on a ton of weight. So
I mean, you could see him being a like 260, 270 pound monster by the time he comes 4 years at Notre Dame.
Exactly, and just what a stud though. Just I've seen Cam Martinez, I've seen Brady Rose. Those kids are studs too, but you just don't see these kids very often. So it was noticeable, even in the snow, even in like the conditions that we were in. So
I liked your quote in the end of the story from Vanderput. He said, "We just kept focused, especially going into halftime. For them to only be up 7-0, for them to be that great of a team, and for us just to be some kids from Wolf Lake, Michigan."
Yeah, I mean, it was. They felt like they encountered a team that was just like all stars, right? I mean, that's really how they felt. They, in fact, Harger used that quote, the all stars quote in his post game speech.
How many kids from Oak Ridge have ever gone to Notre Dame?
I can think of a few. Hope College.
0.
But
how many have gone Division I at Oak Ridge?
I can't think of
one.
I think there have been a couple, but you got to look a ways.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not been recently, and even one of their best players to come through there in recent years is Jamie Potts.
Yeah,
he went to Grand Valley.
He was great at Grand Valley.
He was great at Grand Valley
amazing.
for football and baseball.
Yeah,
but
just a crazy athlete. Jamie's just crazy.
Yeah. So no, I'm just picking at the sore of our last week's subject. So, it just kind of how does that happen? You know what I mean? And especially not only him, but a whole team full of those types of kids. But
and that's why it's refreshing to see like a Lawton.
Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah, legit.
Now, granted, are they bringing kids on in school choice? I don't know.
Yeah,
but that's a small like vineyard town in Southwest Michigan by Paw Paw.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean that's a lot of those kids are homegrown. I don't know if they all are, but a lot of them are.
No, I was good. When I was in school, Oak Ridge was like the last team I wanted to play all the time. They're
tough
scrappers
kids,
and tough kids, and some choice words and back in the day, and but whenever it's kind of like the Big Ten, like once we get outside of the conference competition, I'm always rooting for them. Like I would have loved to see them make a good run. Same thing with Muskegon Catholic, so. Too bad.
For sure. Yeah, they were really emotional too. Like going back to that Lawton Catholic game. I mean, Catholic. I talked to Sam Convertini, and he was pretty emotional about it, and just said, "Hey, they earned it. They were better than us." And and then I asked him about his jersey number because he wore 22, and his grandpa wore that number, his dad wore that number. His brothers are going to wear that number, or have, or will wear that number. But what I thought was really cool, and you guys saw it, I think, on social media, on Facebook, maybe.
Yeah,
I saw you liked it, not
because I'm old.
Where the Lawton kids went over and kind of consoled the Catholic kids. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and you captured a few photos too, right? Or videos. I can't
video
remember
and photo. Yeah.
So a lot of we haven't even got to the last game yet, but a lot of tears. Did you guys tear up like when you ended your sports careers?
So I would say that my junior year, specifically playing baseball, I played with some kids that I'd kind of grown up with. You play with them your whole life, and I remember losing in the regional at Cadillac, and it was like their reaction is what kind of got my reaction. I think that happens a lot, right? Like your emotions are fueled when somebody off of somebody else's emotions. Yeah. And so that was the most emotional game.
That's completely the opposite for me. I was mad we lost. It wasn't even like I wanted to win. That's all I could think about. Like walking off the court or whatever, I was just kind of like, dang it. We should have won this one.
I think I was more stunned. Like, we got to the semifinals in baseball my
I
senior
can't believe
Lord.
I lost.
No, come on.
Verified.
Let me
He's
tell
like,
the
we
whole.
should have taken it home. I hit 9
Let
home
me tell
runs.
the whole story first. All right.
Okay.
So we had a good team my senior, and
Yeah.
and this was several years in the making.
What position did you play?
I pitched.
Pitched.
Yeah, and I pitched in that game, and we lost to Erie Mason, the team that ended up winning it. And I think we were all more stunned that
How many hits, Scott,
how many hits what
against you?
in that game. I don't recall.
That's a lie.
We got
I
beat
don't
11-2,
believe it.
but it was 5-2 when I left. I think the game, something like that.
I feel like I could ask you, like, I could just throw out a date sometimes and be like
his memory. is
December
nuts.
3rd, 1992, and you'd be like 10 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists.
He's like a savant, dude.
So I just
Muskegon won that night as well. Definitely 454.
Well,
Definitely.
I could. Well, yeah, Erie Mason beat us, and then their catcher slammed his hand in the door at the hotel that we were all staying at and couldn't play in the state finals. And
Are you serious?
They still pounded Puamo in the final that next day. They had a
Wow.
kid who went to AAA, played AAA baseball on the Erie Mason team. Toby Kamenek is his name. He was an All-American at CMU, I think.
See, there he
so-
goes.
That's nuts.
But I
Flexing.
remember it because it makes me feel better about us getting spanked in the semis. But seriously, that was kind of the end of a long run of us. Every day in Ravenna growing up, we'd be at the field
Playing
every day,
baseball.
hitting, taking batting practice. I mean, from growing up, playing Little League together on up. And it was done.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hit you until
Yeah,
later
it
on.
was super surreal. Like I said, I mean, the emotions, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just kind of engulfs
I
you.
mean, you're from a little bit of a soft generation, Zach, I would say. So,
Oh
like,
my
I could
gosh,
see
here we
tears.
go.
You're a young guy.
This is what every 60-year-old says.
I'm going to be called a boomer here soon, even though it doesn't even apply. But, yeah, no.
I saw the emotion, too. I don't know if we want to switch gears to that Montague game. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the other thing, Scott, is some of you had some great pictures from that game, and there's a couple of them, you guys, yeah.
Yep.
We'll start at the end of that, the post game.
Tug's interview was...
Tug went right down to his knees and was kind of crouching down, and tears were welling up in his eyes, and teammates were coming up and kind of consoling him. And then I could see Dylan Everett take his helmet off. He had some tears in his eyes. I mean, that's, you put in so much, and then all of a sudden it's over.
Yeah.
And they're probably mad and disappointed that they lost and didn't make another run to Ford Field. But I mean, what do you expect when look at the run that these kids have had? It's been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little of it too. I mean, they just, and you could say the same thing for Oak Ridge, but like in Muskegon Catholic too, right? Like Muskegon, all those teams, Shores, they've gotten used to. They're not done this early in the year. Like,
Right.
Talking to Dave Osborne, he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with all the players at tryouts for basketball this week. He goes, I'm not used to it. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, probably a little shock. It's like you said, surreal, and then also the emotion, like all of it at once. So,
Yeah, but Tug was really good in the post-game interview.
Great interview.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the best I've seen all season. I really like that video. Yeah. Also, I mean, I guess correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Dennett was a little emotional also.
He was. His eyes were kind of
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't. At first, I was like, I think he's just cold, and then I was like, no, he's a little emotional.
Here's what happened. They went off the field. Like the gate to get off the field was kind of on the Montague side, so they kind of walked almost single file off. Even the coaches, because we usually catch the coaches, even the losing coaches on the field before they go in the locker room or whatever. He followed them right in there, and he was in there probably at least 20 minutes.
Wow.
With him. So we were sitting out there waiting, and then Hayden came out. Some kids or players started to kind of sprinkle out of the locker room. Hayden went right to his parents. He must have got about 30 hugs from his mom.
Yeah,
And
I saw that picture.
I got a bunch of pictures of that moment, and then he was taking pictures with family, and it was emotional for him. But at the same time, I think it felt. I got the sense that he was disappointed but happy with the career he had, and I mean, you do what you can do. They did what they could.
That's all you can do. I mean, you can't change that, right?
shameless plug. Tug is up for Player of the Year for CatchMark.
Yeah.
CatchMark Player of the Year award. Read Scott's article all about it. Shameless plug over.
For sure.
And he'll also be a guest, which by the time this podcast sees the light of day, he will be a guest in our final Coach's Corner as well.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Will be.
Nice.
Yeah, after
That's
watching
tonight,
his
right?
interview,
That's tonight, yeah.
after watching his interview, I think that that's, he's a great option for a guest. I'm interested to see what he has to say tonight about the season. So
Yeah, so talking about the Montague game a little bit, I watched Scott on TV from the warmth of my living room.
he's smarter than we are.
Yeah, weather was coming down pretty good there. I don't think there was a lot of accumulation, but overall, I felt like I really felt like Montague just made a lot of mistakes. Like, I don't know that, and you correct me if I'm wrong because you were kind of there, but I don't feel like that team was that much better than Montague. I just feel like there was a lot of, 2-3 fumbles in the first half, and then once that momentum kind of got going with that, like, it just started to kind of cascade in my mind. Not that I think Montague may have won or not. Like, I felt like they moved the ball. I felt like they could have done some things and just made a bunch of kind of silly mistakes from some penalties, that kind of stuff. So, Scott, what did you see on site?
Yeah, they did. I mean, that was exactly it. And, Lansing Catholic's tough. They got the passing game they throw out there.
Yeah.
But Montague certainly didn't do themselves any favors. They coughed it up twice deep in their own territory, once at the 38 and once at the 23. Those both led to touchdowns, both in the second quarter. And that was Lansing Catholic scored 24 of the 31 points
in the first half
in the second quarter.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because it was 7-0 Montague going into the. I think it was going into the second quarter. Maybe.
Yeah, because they got that pick, right?
Yeah, they
got
the pick by Colton. Had a nice return on it, and that set them up because
Tug had a nice catch.
Lansing Catholic was moving the ball, and then from his linebacker spot, he stepped in front of a pass and had a nice return, and then they ended up scoring on that drive to go up 7-0. But then the turnovers mounted, and that second quarter was just weird altogether because that's when the sleet, like sideways sleet, started coming, and I had to put my camera away because it was getting all wet and didn't want to ruin the dang thing.
Yeah, I also think Montague's having some success with Cooey keeping the ball and running, and then once he coughed that second one up, like they were kind of like, okay, we can't have him run the ball anymore, and that really, I think they kind of locked him down at that point, like that threat of him taking off because he had a couple of good gains, and I mean even that second fumble, he'd made gains, he had a good run, and then boom, it comes out, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So, but.
Good season overall for those guys. Though.
Yeah, no, great for the conference again. Like overall, for the area, I think we're just too used to.
Yeah,
we're used to crazy like high expectations in the playoffs, and gonna be a little weird. I will admit, like heading into Thanksgiving, like I don't know who to root for, who to watch.
One little note on that game too, just kind of a side note, is Mel Tucker's kid plays for Lansing Catholic.
Oh, he does. I didn't know
Number 25. Yeah. Trying to recall his first name right now.
Did you get an interview with him?
I didn't. But the interesting thing was
Mel at the game?
No, and that's what I was getting at. They were 1:00. This game was at 1:00. MSU played at 4 at home. But I heard some Lansing Catholic kids say, "Hurry up! We got to get to that MSU game or whatever." So I don't know if Mel hooks him up with some nice accommodations or not.
I'm sure he does.
But that was kind of cool. He is a starting defensive back for Lansing Catholic. Kind of small kid though. Not very big.
So Mel's kid doesn't go to a public school. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
That's what he's saying.
Huh.
That's just the way. That's just the truth.
All right, I'm good. I got it.
We talked a little bit about this earlier, but football numbers in the whole state are down. We've seen a lot of teams this year with limited numbers. Kids are playing both ways when they might not necessarily want them to. That kind of thing. What are some of the reasons you think that this is?
Well, first I'll say Montague's been that way for how many years now?
It's been a few years.
They've had some good teams, and they've still been low on numbers. Now the players they have are good ones,
right.
But they've dug into. I'd say they've moved kids up more regularly than they used to do that. But yeah.
Yeah. Back to your point though, I just hearing coaches and others around the game talk. I think maybe one of the factors is the concussion scare that was out there for a while, where people were concerned about that, about their kids getting injured, with concussions and what that can lead down the road. I think that's part of it. I think that there's so many options for kids now. And let's face it, football is not an easy game to play, or at least you're putting a lot of time and effort, and it's a physical thing. It's demanding. Mm-hmm. Not that other sports aren't, but football just is a little different in that way. I don't know. I think those are two factors.
Yeah. So I'm reading an article. Scott DeCam did not write this article, unlike almost every other MLive article that I look up. In the fall of 2007, MHSA had 46,359 boys playing football. It was a near record number. By the fall of 2018, it had dropped to 33,500, a 24% decline in 11 years.
Wow.
I think personally that there's a couple factors. I think the violence of the game. I think there's that push, the concussion piece. I think people are less likely to send their kids out. to play that game now. But I also think year-round sports has hurt as well. I think that what I mean by that is, and again, when you and I were in school, right? Like football started in July, for the most part, right? And ended in November. I mean, the good Montague teams, you talk to the kids, they're playing 7-on-7 all summer. They're doing stuff all year long. And I think that impacts, it's a different commitment level for that. Football being the biggest, it's kind of king of the sports. Mm-hmm. It eats into other athletics time. So if you're almost going to go football, you kind of got to commit nowadays full time. And that's, I think kids don't want to do that. I think that could explain 24% drop. Like those marginal kids that were good athletes that wanted to play don't want to commit to the whole year. And that's impacting. And then the other sports are going that same direction, right? So like, if you played soccer or basketball or other, they want you at all the tournaments all year round too. Right. So it's almost a decision-making thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the three-sport athletes or the amount of three-sport athletes has decreased pretty drastically too. I don't know that, but I would assume that that's probably the case. It seems like, more and more kids are specializing. Right?
That's a great point. I mean, think way back to when we played sports. Even in the summer playing County Mac baseball, we didn't play any more than maybe 10 or 12 games in the summer. And now kids are playing how many in the summer?
50, 60
total
80
with high
games
school
in the summer.
Yeah. And then they're throwing all winter long and taking BP.
It wasn't like that. We did. We went from sport to sport. Okay, it's football. Let's do this. Okay, let's go to basketball. Okay, it's time for baseball. And in the summer, you may be doing a little bit of all of them. But
I think one week of summer we had a varsity basketball team camp, and that was about it. Other than that, you played on your own and did stuff. Right. I mean, I just think all those sports going all year round has impacted numbers. And again, I think football's the easy target. And you're right, it is hard. And so you're going hard at football all year long, right? Whether that's the weight room or other things, it's just so yeah. Zach, you were saying something?
I mean, I just have obviously what you guys said is, those have to be some pretty impactful reasons as to why the numbers have dropped. But I would also like to bring up the point in regarding technology and how
that's a good angle.
The kids are able to compete in ways other than athletics nowadays. I can't tell you how many millennial parents constantly complain about their kids playing video games.
Even their athletes.
Right.
Yeah. Like esports. Absolutely. You see the esports movement going on, right?
And I mean, it's
safe.
It's
warm.
It's a bit right.
You can go to the games from your living room.
That's right. Right. But there's something to be said about whether or not, that has to be playing at least some.
Oh, I bet. That's a good angle. Yeah.
That's a good point. I heard a coach say a couple weeks ago, with COVID hitting too, kids got so attached to these things, to their phones, staring at them all day. He goes, when we get them back now, it's hard to, I think it might even been Tony Sigmund or someone that said that. I don't recall.
Hard to pull them away.
You get them back, it's hard to get them back. Hard to get their focus on something because they're so looking at this all the time, or they're just because they're so used to it because they're not in school, they're not around their buddies as much during that absence and all that stuff. I don't know.
Sure.
There might be something to that too.
Yeah.
Some additional stats. Michigan has 77 schools that play 8-man football now versus 11-man football. More schools are giving up 9th grade teams or even junior varsity. During 2019 football season, there were an MHSAA record 68 forfeits, up from 56 in 2018 because schools lacked enough healthy players to take the field. I know that was been a problem in the West Michigan Conference. 2 years ago, a year ago, Shelby had that problem. They I want to say they forfeited a game or they quit at halftime because a few players got hurt and they just didn't have enough. So interesting.
Well, think about Ravenna this year. That's a good program going back a ways in football. They didn't have a JV team this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, you can't argue that trend or this trend. Right?
Hart canceled the varsity season handful of years ago, and then Orchard View canceled the varsity season this year. And Orchard View, think they got a great football tradition too.
Yeah, they do.
They had to they just felt better off just not having a varsity team this year, just because they didn't want to put their kids there. At least they felt they're going to put kids in harm's way.
Yeah, and that's even more so with freshman teams in middle school. I can speak from my experience in regard to combining 7th and 8th grade in a lot of in a lot of different schools around the league.
So how do you think this impacts football long term? I mean, at least at the high school level, I mean, I could see a future where Montague, who's football rich, struggles to field a team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're if this trend continues, we're gonna see some co-op situations, right, where schools are potentially combining and to
get the player counts.
to create a team, 11-man team, or however it ends up being structured. I also can see more schools potentially going to the 8-man. Yeah. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting though, moving forward for sure. Those are some crazy statistics.
So
definitely true.
Zach, you don't have kids yet, but would you let your kids play football?
Yeah.
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 I know that's not like a no-brainer for a lot of people, but like it would be for me. I think that especially nowadays with the equipment that they have, right? Like there's a lot of tech that goes into designing some of those, some of those helmets and safety
I will say Owen played football all the way through 8th grade and hasn't played. He's a sophomore now, and he talked about going out for the team next year. Like he was going to dual sport and do soccer because he's a pretty good soccer player. And I'm not going to lie, he's not a big kid, right? Like, I mean, real good athlete, but not a big kid. And I looked out there a couple times. I'm like, man, would he get smushed? Like he might get smushed, and so there is that piece of it, right? Now I would let him play if that's really what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I would also encourage him to get in the weight room and do some.
Well,
of
and
those
that's the
things
other
too.
side of it too. Is like if you allow your kids to, or you encourage them to play, a sport where it can be a little aggressive, it might get violent. You got to make sure that you're preparing yourself too.
Yep.
So I think that they go hand in hand.
All right. What else you got for us today?
Well, I wanted to touch on, and this topic kind of stemmed from seeing Nolan regular play on Friday at Grand Rapids Catholic Central.
Yeah.
But the whole NIL stuff that's been going on in the NCAA, right?
You need to define that so everybody out there knows.
Yep, for sure. The NIL rulings, NIL stands for names, image, and likeness. And what the ruling that was decided at the NCAA level was that players are now able to benefit and profit from their name, their image, and their likeness. They can sign brand deals and make money while they're playing a college sport, and still have their amateur rights, if you will. So that whole topic has obviously been a big one for the college level, but will it trickle down to the high school level, where we see student athletes, prominent ones at that, like Nolan, that have a pretty significant following on social media and that have attracted a lot of attention. I can't imagine there wouldn't be businesses and companies that want to sponsor. Want to take advantage of that, and also, would create some cool opportunities. Maybe you get to go travel and see something, or you get to play with other players around the country, or whatever it might be. So.
I think the answer is unequivocally yes. I guess I have a question for you two before we even go down that.
Yeah.
Is will it happen at the high school level? How do you guys feel about it? Like overall, do you feel like it's okay for them to do that? Is it? I guess I would say absolutely. I think their likeness, their image. I'd say it's almost un-American that they wouldn't be able to be compensated for something that is essentially them. If you really are caring about the kids' well-being, in my opinion, you allow them to. And only sports is the only avenue that they wouldn't take it. If you had a kid that was a concert pianist, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, right? Like they'd go join, a band, whatever, or put on concerts, make money.
Right.
Nobody would even care,
right?
Right?
Didn't matter what age you were.
Didn't matter what age. Like at 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Like same thing with a painter or any other types of skills. Like this wouldn't even be a question. So I think consistency-wise, it is. But what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone back and forth, to be completely honest with you. Like, on one side, I feel the way that you do. These kids should be able to, utilize who they are as a person and what they've accomplished to profit a little bit, to benefit themselves. The other side of it is that in high school, you're growing and learning and being part of a team, or learning the skill to be part of a team. And I think that that's extremely useful down the road. And I do think that in certain situations, it could be a distraction.
Sure.
to some of the most important things about high school sports.
Yeah, but I mean, I would argue that the kids that are going to be able to make this a reality are kids that are probably a distraction already,
right.
or that are already out there. I mean, you think about just basketball, and the kids that are going to have a huge Twitter following are typically, Bates, right? Like he's already been in the news. He's already a distraction. He's already so I think it's going to be rare that somebody from Montague, Michigan has a Twitter following where they could actually cash in on their likeness and those types of things. Would you agree with that, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's far and few between. That's ultimately what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Like it's not common. I don't think it'll ever be common in high school because there's just not that many athletes that.
The tip of the iceberg, maybe, but like.
Yeah, but I don't know. I still have mixed feelings on it. I'm not sold for sure.
Scott, what about you?
Well, there's a kid from South Lake Carroll in Texas. It's like a football powerhouse.
Yeah.
He's an Ohio State early enrollee. He skipped his senior year of high school because he wasn't going to benefit from the state of Texas NIL thing in high school. There was nothing set up for him to benefit from his name, image, likeness. So he's like, I'm foregoing my high school senior year. I graduated in 3 years. I'm going to Ohio State to early enroll, and then I can benefit from my NIL at Ohio State. So that's what he did.
As a business person, that's a smart move.
Right.
I think there's no other situation. Like if you take sports out of it and you go to any other situation, I think that's an absolute, and everybody be like really smart. But for some reason, there's this stigma with sports that guy, and I will say he's probably letting down his team. He's not thinking about his team necessarily. Yeah. That piece is a little hard, but overall, like most people would be like, yeah, that's a pretty smart business move. Let's say that kid can make $30,000 for the next year. He's $30,000 ahead of paying for college and his life and his everything he's doing. I have a hard time telling that kid that he shouldn't be able to do that. I think the freedom to do it is important.
Well, back to Imani Bates. It's the same principle.
Is that how you say it? I've always said it different. Yeah.
But that's the same principle of I'm going to leave now. I could come back and play another high school year or a prep school year or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm going to leave now because I can start building my brand and making money right now.
Right.
And had they not had that NIL in college, maybe he does come back, or maybe he goes overseas and starts his pro career there. But he wants to start. If you're a high level athlete, they say you got a short window to make that money. So.
Yeah, nothing's guaranteed either. Everybody can say, "Well, go to college." Well, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in college. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. I'm a freedom guy, so I think that the freedom to be able to choose is fundamentally baked into our way of life. And so, for me, those kids should have the freedom to decide. Now I can argue all day long about whether he made the right decision or the wrong decision, but the freedom to be able to do it, yeah, why not? I think it was great that they started letting the kids jump directly to the G League and they're relaxing some of those rules, right? And Europe's been doing it for years with soccer. I mean, they've had pro clubs all the way down to the mid-teens, that they pay them.
Because they're young.
They're young, right? And what they've done is really tried to set up a structure where they have the support that they need for making good financial decisions and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm a freedom guy.
Who do you think it benefits? Like, do you think that high schools benefit? Do you think, or we can use colleges for example? Do you think that it benefits the pro level? Does it benefit only the kids? Like, who benefits from this?
It depends.
Okay.
I think it depends on the situation. I think when you're talking about a parochial school, let's say having a kid like Cam Martinez that graduates from Muskegon Catholic versus Muskegon, let's say you're going to draw a lot of attention for both. Right, so let's say Cam he takes advantage of NIL. He promotes himself. He's got all this he's going to be wearing a Muskegon Catholic jersey. He's going to be I think the school benefits. I think the school benefits even in the public situation as well. Yeah. So any of those things so it's case by case though. And the pros, I think the pros benefit as well. I think that it's going to take some time to realize those benefits. They're going to get these athletes sooner. They're going to be able to adjust them to the pro lifestyle sooner, or they're going to wash out quicker. So fail hard, fail fast. I mean, that's I also think the college level is eventually going to benefit. And here's my argument there, right? Like, there's a reason in NCAA basketball why the smaller Division I teams like a Gonzaga or like some of those schools are able to compete with the big dogs. And in my opinion, it's because there's more players. They tend to keep their players longer. So the product on the court, the overall product, the players themselves individually might not be as dynamic, but the reason I love college basketball is because the product is better overall, right? Like in regards to how they play. So I think it will eventually benefit college. They're going to fight back on it, though. I mean, I think college is the one that has the potential to lose the most.
Well, you look at, and I brought this up before, but Michigan State, where the players are getting like a stipend or whatever, they're getting paid
right
through NIL, and so that benefits the kids. But it benefits the program because they're like prospects.
Look what
out
we're
there.
doing. Yep.
Man, if I go there, I'm going to get some money. I'm going to get paid whether I'm playing or not. I'm going to get some money at least, and at least I'm not going to be sweating on ramen noodles for the next 3-4 years,
that
whatever.
might be a major factor in a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh no,
Right.
it would be for me.
$2,000 a month versus $10 or $20, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. No, it definitely will. And I think there are potential problems there. So don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I think it does change the landscape of college football. But to me, college athletics, college football as well is part of that. But I think that it needs change. And so, I mean, you're going to have the big schools with the big donors. They're going to be able to fill the pockets better, and it's going to turn into look a little bit more like a kind of maybe a pro setup. Right now, I think it already is a pro setup, but the only people getting paid is the university and the coaches.
Right.
And so, I have a hard time with that, and to me, it's going to benefit every athlete of the program eventually. So, but.
Yeah, that's right. And it's going to create that bigger gap between the haves and the have-nots, you would think.
Yeah.
You'd think. I also think that, get this, so what about, semi-pro type teams, right? Why would you go
it could
play at a semi-pro level aside from, wanting to start making some money? What's the incentive of doing that now that you can make money playing in college? You get what I'm saying?
But that's making the assumption that every school is going to have a chunk of cash
right. It doesn't apply to everybody.
Like you go to Western Michigan, and are they going to have a chunk of money? Could you have made more at a semi-pro club than you could have at Western Michigan? Or
I mean, a lot of those semi-pro teams in general don't make a ton of money though.
I mean, you talk to the G League guys, they don't make a lot of money unless they get a dual contract, and they're actually limited to how much they could make. Again, it helps the athlete. I think they're going to have to start. We had season tickets to the Drive for a long time, and one of the things that I was always amazed at, we were watching probably the two top 300 players in the world playing in the G League, right? Like, these are the best basketball players in the world, the top 1-2%. And when you talk about how much money they make, at times it's a little it's almost staggering, how little they make. So. That's something that I think is interesting. We okay, Billy? Billy's shaking his head yes. Looks like Scott might be going down on his phone. The iPhone is failing us. It's powering
I can understand why. If I had to look at me for that long, I think I'd give up too.
So I think you're absolutely right. There's a potential for those leagues to lose out. I just think it's change, and different models will evolve and come out. But it's hard to watch, a guy that was an All-American. It always amazed me, watching a guy that came from Kansas play in the G League, and he's playing at the Deltaplex.
Right.
And he's making $30,000 that year. Almost no other industry would one of the top 1% in that industry not make a decent living, make, 50, 60, 70, 80 grand a year, So
exactly.
Here's a tangent for you. Did you get season tickets for the Drive last year?
Did not. We stopped 2 years ago.
Okay, I didn't know if Donnie Tyndall was coaching at any point. Do you remember him?
I don't think Donnie was. I think he was after he came on the year after we stopped.
The reason I bring that up is because he grew up and went to Ravenna. He was
Ravenna boy. No, he did. The last year we had tickets. That's right. Yeah, he did.
He was in Ravenna for a while, and then maybe freshman, sophomore year left and went to Northview. His family moved.
Nice.
He was a really good point guard there. Then played at Morehead State, coached at Morehead State, coached at Southern Miss, Tennessee. Got in some trouble through the NCAA. and now he's coaching some JUCO in Florida and kicking butt. I mean,
That's
the man
awesome.
can coach and the man can recruit. He's really
That's
he's
awesome.
doing a great job.
Kind
He's
of cool.
But yeah,
Yeah.
kind of a cool connection.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
cool. Anyways, did we beat that to death?
Yeah, I think so. I think we covered all the bases of the NIL stuff.
So just a quick question on the way out. Would you guys like to profit on your likeness image? I mean, if I told you guys, hey, come work for CatchMark SportsNet, but you can't profit on your own likeness image, and you guys would go crazy. There'd be a coup. You'd burn this place down.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
that stuff
it's silly, right?
That
Like,
stuff happens. You know, I mean, honestly, you'd want to get yourself in a situation where you worked for a company that would allow you to benefit as they benefit, right? It would be a mutual thing.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that stuff happens for sure.
I mean, Scott needs to be able to take advantage of that verified
yeah.
checkbox. I
This
mean,
guy.
like it's
I'm just wondering who Zach would be kind of the pitch man for. Who do you think? What company would want him for a pitch man?
as a likeness. A CatchMark wants him. I like him. I like the guy.
No, but like, there's got to be some fast food joint out there that wants Zach, right?
You're joking.
The Mr. Quicks.
Did not
You're
go
joking.
there.
There's Zach Swagel, Mr. Quicks combo
Flex
meal.
Seal, you're the Flex Seal guy.
Well, I sure give those places enough money, so they should want me as their spokesperson. I can't stand you guys, and I think we might have to end the podcast on that note.
One quick question, Billy. You were really quiet. You got anything to add?
Oh, I'm still watching that Detroit Lions game.
Oh, good. The tie ball game. All right,
They're still playing.
that's enough.
They're in like
That's enough.
That might be.
Anybody got a
sixth
mute for Billy's
overtime.
mic, please?
We got to cut him off.
Just because
We
the
gotta cut him
Finns
off.
won for one time in the
He's
first
feeling
time.
fat and sassy now.
Hey,
that
we
the
didn't
Dolphins
lose.
have won a couple games in a row.
We didn't lose.
You
That's
didn't lose.
That's the key thing. Any of you
But
guys?
everybody who watched that game lost. Let's be honest.
Can you believe that? How bad was that last field goal, by the way? I think it was in end of regulation. Did it get like 8 feet off the ground? Of all the times, I mean, we got great kickers at Detroit. Hansen and what's his name from last year, 2 years ago?
Oh yeah, Prater.
Prater. Like, that's what we got when we got a chance to win a game and not like.
I thought it was tipped until they played it.
It
back.
wasn't tipped.
was-
I could have kicked a
I
field goal back.
sent a
Same,
text to my dad
actually.
and my friends and stuff. I said, Cooey or, you got Andrew Cooey or Hunter Hogan could have given a better
Yeah,
effort than that.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
The high school kids that are good kickers around here could have done better than
It's
that.
sad, man. It's just, but I can't say I'm surprised. Nothing surprises me.
What do you
anymore
guys?
with
You guys think Goff is a long term?
No.
No, I don't know.
No.
Don't
I have
see it.
no. I think they're horrible at
I
picking
think we
quarterbacks.
got the short end of that.
Yeah.
You guys
I-
did. LA wanted to get rid of him. He was.
Yeah, I really think Stafford might win a Super Bowl this year. Like, I think he could do it, and I'm happy for him. I like it. That'd be a way better ending than Barry Sanders or Megatron, right?
Right.
Like, good lord,
And he took his share of beatings in Detroit. He deserves it.
holy cow!
I mean,
Yeah,
he got pounded. But, I mean, it's funny. People are like, well, Goff was played in a Super Bowl. It's like, yeah, but this just further illustrates that it's not all about just that one position. Now,
Yeah.
it's a big position, but if you got other guys around you, that helps too.
Yeah.
Didn't he
I mean,
lose that Super Bowl?
What's that?
Didn't he lose that?
I think
Super
they did,
Bowl?
yeah.
they did.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't think back to Buccaneers. What was it? Dilfer was the quarterback when they won a Super Bowl or two, I think, with him. I wouldn't call him the guy I want to lead my team to win a Super Bowl.
Right. I mean, but that, like you said, that just goes to show you, right? And I think that ultimately, like, fans have to start realizing that, like, maybe it's not one position that's the issue.
Although Tom
right?
Brady's done a pretty good job too. So how do you explain that?
He just lost the second one in a row.
They lost to Washington.
Regular season, come talk in the playoffs,
yeah,
right?
I mean, come on, man. You got to give him a little
Yeah.
credit. He's the best of all time.
No, I mean, I think
He is.
that,
There's no question.
He's
Yeah,
the best
the
of
GOAT.
this time.
Yeah.
He is.
no, he's
I honestly think that like the key to his success is just what he brings with him, like the culture and it's much more than just an individual talent.
You can't even breathe on a quarterback without the ref throwing a flag.
I was about ready to fire.
You're really gonna defend Tom Brady right now.
I was about ready to fire a Dan Marino insult toward Billy, but
You should.
so who's better, Marino or Brady?
No, that's a stupid question. Of
It's
course,
not.
Tom Brady's.
So you're acknowledging that Brady's the best, but you're
no,
dogging
but
him.
I'm also saying, hey, you put Tom Brady back in the day with those guys, and I don't know if he'd be the same as he is now.
He tears it
I
up.
think the league has changed a lot.
He absolutely tears it up.
You don't
he
win
tears
that
it up
much
in
on
era.
accident.
Any era, he tears it up. he's more of an old school quarterback.
Yeah, he's more
like
of a
the way
pocket
he
passing,
plays.
like
I love this. This is actually.
I will
really
agree,
good.
though.
I'm not cutting this off until
I will agree
No,
with
you
Billy
shouldn't.
though. Quarterbacks are overprotected now.
Yeah, I mean, they said it the other day. The announcers were like, you can't even fart on a quarterback without the refs throwing a flag.
Well, I would want a flag if you're gonna fart on me. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
would you say the same thing about the game when he won his first Super Bowl?
No, because they started to change the rules around then.
Sure.
it's easy to criticize a guy that's won 7. Is it now? And
Yeah, I think
done
it's
it for 2,700 years.
I get it. I'm a Dolphins fan. He's Tom
He's just
Brady.
legit.
I get it. I don't like Tom Brady.
I wish you guys could see Billy right now. He is treading water, backpedaling.
I do like Tampa Bay Tom more than New England Tom.
I think he's just had he has had great teams around him, guys. Like I'm not gonna lie, what New England put the pieces around him, and oftentimes won games too because of their defense. And I think he went into a situation in Tampa Bay. He had playmakers. He was just that missing piece. I still think it takes a team. Tom Brady can't win the game all by himself, and especially not in game. But I go back to what you said. The culture that he brings with him and the way that he goes about doing business is
who do you learn that
it's
culture
leadership.
from, though?
Yeah, it is. It's leadership.
It's all about leadership.
Oh,
I think in the long run, Bill Belichick is kind of coming out on top. New England, and I hate to say this as a Dolphin fan, they're what, one game behind the Bills right now? I think they might be tied. They have the same amount of wins. They're in the mix, right? When they had no team, everybody left, but Belichick's coaching has allowed them to stay in.
Are those footballs fully inflated or not?
Cheating aside,
yeah, but I also think that you can outgrow a mentor in a sense too. So
Yeah, I mean, the coaching or the role of a coach at the pro level, I think is a little bit blown
It's
out of
different.
proportion.
Yeah.
right? Because these players are they're professionals. That's what they do every day. Coaches, the interactions don't equate to like what it would be like in high school or college. You know, they have so much freedom.
well, and
They
that's why
kind of-
guys have trouble going back and forth.
Is that why you say some professional coaches that were great in college aren't necessarily good in the
Yeah,
pros?
absolutely.
Because there's kind of like that they look up to you. There's the discipline of the collegiate level.
Yeah.
And in the pros, they're like, well, screw you. You don't have to,
Nick Saban,
I make money.
Urban Meyer.
Yeah, not to go all like leadership savant on it, but it's the difference between an authoritative leadership style, which is it's actually hard to maintain with when you don't have the authority in a sense, versus like a more of a servant leadership style, where I think at the pro level you have to be able to lead in a different way, and I think it's easier to coerce and have authoritative when you control everything. I think this NIL, to bring it all around, it's going to impact the college coach's ability to influence guys too, because I think you'll see guys get drafted that don't need the college experience. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting, but yeah. So Billy, how do the Dolphins end? Are they gonna? Where do you think their record will fall?
I think they're going to make a run.
Oh,
I think they're going to win out, and I think. And now it's interesting because they've added this week of football this year, and the NFL really wanted this, and they're going to get what they wanted. It's going to come down, especially in the AFC, week 18 or the 18th week of football, week 17. There's going to be like, it's the biggest scenario. You know, every year it's like, well, if my team wins and that team loses and this team beats this team, then my team's in the playoffs. We're going to have more of that this year than ever. I think there's 12 teams that are still in the hunt.
So you a fan of 16 games?
I don't know yet. I think it's going to be interesting.
Billy?
Especially since the Dolphins might still be in it come week 17.
Well, one reason I talked earlier about college basketball, one reason I like college basketball is because there were so many fewer games. I think they mean more. I was never a big fan of the conferences having conference tournaments in basketball or in football. Like the conference championship game, to me, like I think the pros have got it wrong. One thing sorry baseball fans, I hate about baseball is that there's 9,000 games in the season. Like, so it's easy to look at a game and be like, this doesn't matter. And when baseball gets interesting at the end of the season, when it comes down to a pennant race or who's going to make the playoffs. But we've got like this monotony all the way up to it. So I don't like it.
I mean, the NBA is kind of the same way too.
It
right?
is.
Like,
it is.
The first half of the season.
It doesn't even matter.
It really doesn't.
Yeah. They're feeling themselves out. The first half of the season is don't lose. Don't play your way out of a playoff, out of the playoffs. Second half is where you go get it, so. I don't know.
Shoot, within games, you can make the argument they don't start playing until there's 2 minutes
right,
left.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, right, yeah. Right, you limit the games and that you got to win, like you can't, but I get it. It's a business. The pros, they want to sell tickets. They want to sell, like.
They can fill the stands. I mean, they're not going to care how many games.
Think about it this way, Billy. You get one more week of barbecue and everything that you do. That's your Sunday ritual. You get to do that at least one more week.
In the middle of the
snow. I love it.
All right.
True. Anything else?
I think we're done.
I think that's gonna wrap up episode 4 of the CatchMark Sports Podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.